anything. You know, anybody who knows me knows that it's God, family, country, and in that order. You know, so it's you got to put God first in everything you do, because if you don't, it's just going to fall apart. You know, and a lot of people look at life and they're like, how can you put your faith in front of your family? Because I'm like, because you without your faith, you have no family.
Right.
You know,
That's a perfect way to
you got
put
to
it.
put it in that order.
That's a perfect way to put it. And this comes from, and you mentioned it a little bit, your background, having went through some bumpy rides, right? That you overcame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was addicted to drugs for about 27 years, and I did everything you could get your hands on, you know. And I met my wife probably about 6 years ago, and I felt like I had lost her because I, you know, was doing the same old me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's say I decided at that point it was probably a good time for me to listen to my manager and just go to rehab and get everything put back in order. And I was given two choices when I did that. They said you can go through regular rehab or you can go through a faith-based rehab. And you know, I've wrestled with God my whole life. I mean, my mom always had an open Bible in our house, and I'd read at it, and I read at it for different reasons throughout the year. And a lot of times I'd read at it to prove it wrong, and there just wasn't no proving it wrong.
No.
So I chose the faith-based path, and I've had a good relationship with God ever since.
That's amazing. How important getting through this was music to you as well, to start diving into this career?
Well, it's very important, you know, because I guess music has been very therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I call it my own therapy. You
Yeah.
know, it's because it's really a way for me to talk to myself without looking like I'm crazy. But you know, I write down the way I feel on the way I feel on paper. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I like to get with other people who also write music and we're like-minded, and we bounce ideas off each other, and we come up with some really good stuff most of the time.
And that's what I'm going to ask, because not that long ago, I interviewed Bill Anderson, right? Whispering Bill Anderson. And it's so interesting to hear the different perspectives, the different processes that people have when they're writing their own music. Not everybody does it the same.
No, music can come about in so many different ways. Like it come from poetry in the music. It can come from music in the words. It could come from, you know, just a thought you have. The thing about it is, you know how many songs have just been lost in the wind
Yeah.
because somebody forgot to write them down.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just a song is a thought put to music.
Yeah.
Pretty much what it is. It's like, this is what I'm going through right now, and this is what I'm going to write down. And sometimes this is what I'm going through, and this is what I forgot to write down. You know, it's just
Yeah.
it just depends. You know.
Yeah. Do you carry like a notebook on you so you don't forget?
Well, I used to. These days, I just type it up in my phone usually.
Oh,
But one thing I like to do is just walk in with a blank sheet of paper with people and just come up with some. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I want to write about, and then we start from that and move forward, because what they're feeling and what they feel towards what I'm feeling usually turns into something completely different than what either one of us is feeling, and it just turns into something great.
That's wonderful. Now, what kind of projects are you working on next?
I want to do a really upbeat, fun album next. You know, I want to do. You remember how Toby Keith used to just put out them really upbeat, cool,
Yeah.
funny albums?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I remember something he said back in the day that was just, it hit me. You know what I mean? It's like, I spend all my time writing all these deep songs and all this, just pouring my heart into this art, and then my biggest song of my career is Red Solo Cup.
It's true.
I'm like, that makes a lot of sense, man. It's usually the fun songs that are just, you know, come out of nowhere. Like, that can be said for my career too. I mean, to this day, the video that has the most views of mine on YouTube is a song called "Caught Up," and it's just a funny song about a relationship.
Yeah. Well, that'd be great.
That's what I want to do with my next album. This one I'm putting out right now. It'll actually be released in March. It's pretty deep. I went deep in every aspect of my life, and I put out probably the most vulnerable album I've ever put out. It's going to be coming up in March. But the one I'm about to start writing is just going to be a bunch of fun songs. Hopefully, I mean that's the aim.
That's the goal. Is it difficult? You mentioned the word vulnerable. Is it difficult to release something like that? Is it almost becomes too personal for you?
Yeah, it really has, man. It's been really nerve-wracking. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because when you're discussing your faith and you're discussing, you know, how you feel about your life and how you feel about, all these different aspects of life. There's a few songs on this album that I'm like, are people going to look at me different?
Oh, wow.
Because I put out a lot of party and rocking songs
Yeah.
back in the day, and I built a pretty good fan base on it.
Yeah.
Like you can find very little of my grandfather in this new album, you
Okay.
know.
Oh, interesting.
And a lot of people come to see me want to hear my grandfather.
Sure.
And I get that because my grandfather's Waylon Jennings. Who wouldn't want to hear that?
Right.
But this time they're going to hear me,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that's okay.
How long does a project like that take?
From writing to fruition, I'm still not through with it. Honestly, I've gotten all the album done. The album's done, but all the videos, half of them ain't shot yet. Um, it takes quite a while. I started writing this album probably beginning of last year,
Oh, wow.
but it's like you got to go through different writing meetings
Mhm.
with different people, whoever you want to write with. You got to come up with. You don't want to rush it for sure.
Sure.
That's one thing you definitely don't want to do. You don't want to rush through something and just put anything out there.
Mhm.
So the process, depending on how long it takes to write the song and how okay you're with it. If you're anything like me, and you has to be 100% perfect
Yeah.
before you want to put it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you put it out, it still ain't
And
100%
then
perfect.
you don't like
It's like,
it. Yeah.
but it takes a while.
How difficult is it in today's climate to promote your music? I mean, I know social media has kind of run rampant. Does that make it easier? Does it more difficult?
Well, it all comes down to the dollar, honestly. I
Yeah.
mean, once you realize that, you stop worrying about stuff like that because
Mhm.
you're not going to be able to compete with like Morgan Wallen.
Right. Right.
You're
Right.
not going to be able to compete with like Post Malone, Jelly Roll, and all that, unless something happens that a big record label wants to get on board and wants to do something with it.
Mhm.
When you're independent like me, you're just you're really trying to feed your fan base and you're trying to feed the people who get a hold of it organically. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? This
Yeah.
is me, and I've put everything I can into it, and hopefully, if you enjoy it and you like what you're hearing, that you'll pass it on to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because promotion these days is like throwing it out into a sea of music.
That's what I
It's
mean.
like
Yeah.
there's so many songs put on Spotify a day. There's so many YouTube videos
Yeah.
thrown up a day, and if anybody knows who you are and what you stand for and the songs you're about to put out, they'll keep up with you. But as far as trying to, you know, put it out there to the masses,
Mhm.
there's one thing people don't understand is like a lot of people think that if you post something on Facebook, the whole world sees it.
Sure.
That's not the case.
No.
It
No.
all comes down to the mighty dollar. How
Mhm.
much you put into it, how much you put into production, how much. I mean,
Yeah.
it just comes down to what you can do by yourself usually.
The Wade Jennings concert is going to be on December 7th at 2 p.m., and that's at the Hornell High School. And as we said, one song will be done with the Hornell Band. And afterwards, I understand there's a meet and greet. What does that entail?
Yeah, I'm gonna meet everybody at the merch booth after the show. Last thing I say in the show is like, you don't have to buy anything, but I'll meet you over at the merch booth. I'd like to shake your hand.
Oh, that's
What I
great.
mean? And I stand over there and I talk to everybody as long as they want to talk. And when everybody's done, I go home.
Yeah. So you probably do you get sick of answering the same questions over and over?
No,
No.
because obviously they don't have the answer yet, so I'll
Right.
give it to them.
Right. And it's not working in a cotton field, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So-
I thank God for what I get to do and for the people who allow me to do it. So
Yeah.
I don't mind talking to people at all, man.
Before we go, where's the best place to find out more about your career, your album coming out in March and the like?
Well, all the social media that I have, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those. I have a website, it's waydjennings.com.
Okay.
All my tour schedules on there. A bunch of my videos are on there. You can get just about any information you want off of there.
Okay.
Other than that, just find my tour schedule and meet me at the shows.
Perfect. Well, thanks for giving us so much time, and I hope that you enjoy your time in Hornell for the holidays.
Yeah, man.
All right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. I'm so glad that you've joined us this morning right before Thanksgiving, so you're probably a little stressed. Let us ease some of that stress on this morning's broadcast. First of all, we're going to start the program with a ton of comments. We got so many comments. And I do apologize. Sometimes when we have guests, it's difficult to get to all of them. And with Phil, I wanted to ask about the prison closures, and we just ran out of time for all the comments. One of those comments coming out of retirement, Climate Fact Friday, Bob. We're going to read that in just a little bit. Also, I want to remind you that coming up on today's broadcast, we're going to be talking with our friends from Steuben Senior Services Fund. They're going to be joining us in the 7 o'clock hour, so you can find out more about what they have going on this time of year. We always enjoy talking with Steuben Senior Services Fund. Also, since I've got you for a moment, obviously tomorrow and Friday will be reruns, but Monday, listen to this lineup. And there's a few added, by the way. There's going to be, I'm waiting to hear and solidify a couple more interviews. But as of right now, Monday, we're going to be talking with Tom Sharp from Mannheim Steamroller. They're coming to the Clemens Center. That's going to be a great interview. And then on Tuesday, pardon me, Wade Jennings is going to join us. You may say, how do I know that name? Sounds familiar. It's Waylon Jennings' grandson. He is going to be in Hornell soon. So we're going to be talking with Wade Jennings on Tuesday, and that is just the beginning. Okay, let's get to viewer comments. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. How about some good news? Sounds like a great idea. The price of oil is down 15%, and by 2027, they could be down by 50%, according to JP Morgan. So Trump is making an effect. We've got some info on that, a lot of opinion pieces. This time of year, this has historically been the case for as long as I've been on the air. Not as much breaking news, though there is some. A lot of opinion pieces out this time of year. We're going to talk about some of them and get your take on them. Okay, comment from a different viewer. I really like the idea of giving health insurance money to the citizens of America, as the president is tentatively advocating. Providing the money is put into an individual's account to be used solely for health care or healthy food. Though I think I could be assured that the excellent minds that now finally are in control of the direction of our way of life have already conceived of such. Thank you very much. That's a good idea. All right, these were during yesterday's broadcast. Oh, and by the way, I've got a Karen's quote of the week, too. But these came during yesterday's broadcast. As I said, we just ran out of time talking with Phil because we wanted to focus as much as we possibly could on energy. And then we had the story of the prison closures that just had to be discussed. So let's get to the comments that happened during yesterday's broadcast. We have a family member in the oil business. The amount of energy under our feet is amazing. I agree, especially here in New York. Ken wrote in my working class opinion, the degasification of New York is specifically designed to enrich politicians and their donors. Any thinking person that pays attention to what other countries like China are doing knows that. There's literally no benefit to draconian restrictions by New York on natural gas. Banning the cleanest fossil fuel is antithetical to actually helping the environment. Thank you, Ken. Comment from a different viewer. Phil Palmisano's words need to be in the forefront of every New Yorker's minds. Thank you both for bringing common sense to the light of day. We need more Phils running around the state. The wife wants a podcast online of you guys. Well, there is yesterday's interview up on our YouTube page. If you missed it, it was great. I heard a lot of people stopping me and just talking about it. The Assemblyman did a great job yesterday, and I know how passionate many of you are about the failed energy policies coming from Albany. So it's nice that Phil can put into words with specifics, because he's been on the Energy Committee for so long, put that into what we are all thinking. So I appreciate that comment. Comment from a different viewer. Talking about electric school buses, one topic that hasn't been talked about is we have a lot of rural routes where a lot of the bridges won't handle the weight of the electric buses. More taxpayer money replacing something that isn't broken. That's a great point. And I by the way, for anybody who sent in these comments. I read them and got the word to Phil after the broadcast. I should have emphasized that. All right, Climate Fact Friday, Bob, coming out of retirement. He said, good morning, all, and great show, Frank and Phil. I think one of the biggest problems is the rush to wind and solar on our most sensitive ecosystems. There is an 1,800-acre solar project in Fort Edwards, Washington County, New York, that is going to completely surround a designated DEC wildlife species sensitive area. That has been approved by the Office of Renewable Energy Sightings, ORES, O-R-E-S. This office of 38 people created in 2020 to speed up solar projects. ORES completely ignores any environmental impacts, and their decisions supersede the New York DEC. These so-called solar farms are not green. There's a young lady named Alexandra Fasulo who is fighting the Fort Edwards project. She is doing a great job. Anyone who believes wind and solar are good for our state really do not understand how the environment works. Thanks, and have a great day. Well, thank you. Thank you, Climate Fact Friday, Bob. It's good to hear from you, and great point. And the unfortunate matter is, and you're seeing it around here locally, these solar projects are popping up everywhere because, as we talked with Phil yesterday, the grid and the power, we just don't have the capability for what the goals, quote unquote, goals are. So yeah, you're going to see a lot of precious wildlife area, farmland destroyed. And you really can't blame farmers who could have had a boom, as they probably are losing money every year or close to it, could have had a boom when it comes to fracking. And when that, of course, disappeared here in New York State, just to make do, getting rid of some of that land for solar projects. And just think of the optics of it, the visual, and how that will destroy so many precious areas, so many beautiful areas in our state. So, and I know Phil had the numbers yesterday of how much land will be needed, and it's outrageous. All right. Good morning, Frank, says Karen. Good morning, Karen. Karen's quote of the week comes from the art professor, poet, and theologian. How do you say that? Theologian, right? Yeah. And now I got to butcher the name too. Johannes A. Gartner, who said, quote, to speak gratitude is courteous and pleasant. To enact gratitude is generous and noble. But to live gratitude is to touch heaven. End quote. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and God bless. Well, thank you, Karen. That's a perfect one as we enter into Thanksgiving Eve. To speak gratitude is courteous and pleasant. To enact gratitude is generous and noble. But to live gratitude is to touch heaven. Very nice. We'll read that at the 7 o'clock hour as well. All right, a couple quick breaking stories. And like I said, we have some opinions. I want to get your take on. Did you see what Sean Duffy had to say about traveling? If you're planning on traveling, you're probably already doing it. But if you're planning on traveling, your thoughts on it. Basically, he's saying, can we dress up a little bit? Could we maybe not wear pajamas when we're flying? We'll talk about that. A couple quick things about Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I'm not going to focus too much on it. And then I have 2 or 3 opinion pieces from what I would say, and we may not get an opportunity to talk about it, but essentially telling Trump he's got to get back on track if there's any hope for 2026 in the midterms. Your thoughts on that? And they're coming from more conservative outlets, so we'll try to get to those. Now, out of Washington, D.C., Mayor Muriel Bowser has announced that she will not seek re-election for a 4th term, ending her decade-long reign in the nation's capital. The Democrat, who previously represented the 4th Ward as a member of the D.C. Council, shared the news in a video posted to social media saying, "My fellow Washingtonians, for 10 years, you and I have worked together on an ambitious agenda to restore faith in our government and ensure that every D.C. resident gets the fair shot they deserve. To keep that promise, we took big swings, keeping D.C. teams in D.C. raising environment and graduation rates. That can't be right. And I'm sorry, must be teens in D.C. raising enrollment and graduation rates in our schools and investing more money in housing than any other city or state, creating 36,000 homes. She added her administration drove unemployment to its lowest level, achieved strong reserves, and completed the largest infrastructure project in city history with the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. Now, this doesn't really shake anything up when it comes to Washington, D.C., because another Democrat will undoubtedly take her place. I don't need to go through what she considers her whole record. But the next D.C. mayoral election will be held November 3rd of 2026. Axios reported last month D.C. council members Kenyon McDuffie and Janice Lewis George have been floating potential mayoral runs. So there you are, a name that we've talked about in the past, but not extensively, but worth mentioning. Okay, Ukraine has agreed to a peace proposal with only minor details left to settle, but no word yet from Russia. This was reported early, about 3 hours ago. From CBS News, a U.S. official told CBS on Tuesday that Ukraine's government had agreed to a peace deal brokered by the Trump administration to stop Russia's nearly 4-year assault. The American official and Ukraine's national security advisor, Rustam Emrov, said a common understanding on a proposal had been reached, with details still to be worked out. He voiced optimism that Zelensky would travel to the U.S. before the end of November to finalize an agreement. Now, this is interesting because Trump had tweeted out something. Basically, he doesn't want to meet until the deal is done, something to that extent. The U.S. official told CBS, the Ukrainians have agreed to the peace deal. There are some minor details to be sorted out, but they have agreed to a peace deal. Taking to Truth Social, President Trump said there were only a few remaining points of disagreement. I will be briefed on all progress made, along with Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, and White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. I look forward to hopefully meeting with President Zelensky and President Putin soon, but only when the deal to end the war is final or in its final stages. Mr. Trump told reporters when he was on Air Force One that we are making progress. Asked what points of disagreement remain, he said standard things, but people are starting to realize it's a good deal for both parties. Carolyn Levitt, taking to Twitter, saying over the past week, the United States has made tremendous progress towards a peace deal by bringing both Ukraine and Russia to the table. There are a few delicate but not insurmountable details that must be sorted out and will require further talks between Ukraine, Russia, and the United States. There was no immediate reaction from Russia. Now, we know that while these peace deals are going on, Ukraine and Russia battering each other with hundreds of drones in a deadly onslaught. Moscow fired 460 drones and 22 missiles at Ukraine during the exchange, killing 7 people and wounding 21 others in the second major attack on the Ukrainian capital just this month. Zelensky, writing on X, the main Russian attack overnight targeted the capital and the region, causing extensive damage to residential buildings and civilian infrastructure across the city. The Russian assault knocked out water, electricity, and heating services across Kiev, with Ukrainian officials condemning Moscow's repeated strikes against civilian energy facilities as winter approaches. At least one major energy facility was hit in the overnight attack, which left 6 people wounded, including 2 children, according to Kiev's energy ministry. Now, behind closed doors, and Bloomberg is reporting this, a leaked phone call revealed a top aide of President Trump helped coach the Russians on how to win the commander-in-chief over with flattery while navigating negotiations on that peace deal. The call between Steve Witkoff and Yuri Yushakov, the top foreign policy aide to Putin, discussed the possibility of Putin and Trump hopping on a phone call to discuss a peace plan. Again, this was released by Bloomberg. On the 5-minute call, Witkoff advised Yushakov to instruct Putin to congratulate Trump and open the conversation with some complimentary remarks. Quote, I would make the call and just reiterate that you congratulate the president on this achievement, that you supported it, that you respect that he is a man of peace, and you're just, and you're really glad to have seen it happen. Hey, Steve, I agree with you that he will congratulate. He will say that Mr. Trump is a real peace man, and so on, that he will say, Yushakov said. We don't need to go through all the transcript. But there is your update on that as we run just a little bit low. We're going to be moving fast this morning. We got a lot to pack in as we are on a short week, as we have Thursday and Friday off. Thanksgiving, of course, and Friday off. So, we're wishing you a happy Thanksgiving. And while doing so, we've got a lot of news to break to you. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Can you help me?
Mom, Dad, we're going out.
Thank you.
Oh, look, they're playing chess.
What you got there?
Will you help my mom?
She's real sick, huh? Hey, crew, I'll give the first move to anyone who signs up to be an organ donor. How do you do it?
Easy. Just go to organdonor.gov.
You heard him, organdonor.gov.
More donors means more hope. Sign up at organdonor.gov.
Black Friday means only one thing. It's time to start hot tubbing with your very own Hesselson's Hot Tub. Start making every day better by relaxing and being stress-free with hot water therapy in your very own backyard. With savings up to $5,000, why wait? Plus, 0% interest financing options up to 5 full years. All floor models must be sold at huge discounts as 2026 models are arriving daily. Don't wait, as Hesselson's annual Black Friday sales event will end Saturday at 5 p.m. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
The Black Friday sales event is here at Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships in Mansfield. Get savings up to $9,000 off MSRP on brand new Ford Super Duties. Or experience $13,000 off MSRP on select new 2026 Ram 1500s. And don't miss up to $12,000 off 2025 Chevy Silverado 1500s. Enjoy our lowest price guaranteed and get a 55-inch smart TV with every purchase now until the end of the month. So save some green off Route 15 in Mansfield where we're taking the deals.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam. Brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Our new beautiful view with the Christmas lights. All ready to go as the Crystal City Christmas is about to kick off. Welcome back as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Mark writes in, I don't like it, but my prediction is people have had enough and the Democrats will win the midterms and start an impeachment of Trump. Oh, that'll be nonstop. If they win in the midterms, Democrats, it will be nonstop investigations, hearings, impeachment. It will kind of gum up the works for quite some time. But to that point, there's two pieces, and I was going to bring it up later, but it ties in with what Mark had to say. And Liz Peek at Fox writes, President Trump needs to regain his momentum and keep control of the House in 2026. Otherwise, the Trump agenda is finished. GOP priorities such as ending birthright citizenship, enacting voter ID laws, and changing the census to exclude illegal immigrants will vanish along with Republicans' House majority. The president has about 8 months to reverse his slipping poll numbers and win back the voters who elected him last year. If he fails, he could spend the next 2 years fighting another Democratic impeachment effort. Remember, it was only a few weeks ago that political pundits were writing obituaries for the Democratic Party. The party's approval ratings were in the gutter, with favorability toward Democrats at its lowest point in 30 years. Democrats lacked leadership, and even a month before voters went to the polls in New Jersey and Virginia, candidates in those states had failed to find a winning message. The only thing they had was their hatred for Trump. All that changed almost overnight as voters flocked to polls and backed Democrats, venting their anger over ongoing inflation, the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, and yes, President Trump. In late October, Polymarket showed 57% of participants betting the Democrats would take over the House. Today, 72% expect Republicans to lose it. Things can change quickly in politics. To succeed in the midterms, President Trump needs to spark a booming economy, lower the cost of living, and present a coherent immigration policy. Kevin Hassett, head of Trump's National Economic Council, told Fox Business that 2026 was shaping up to be a blockbuster year. He's likely right. The flood of investments coming into the country thanks to Trump's trade deals is just beginning to show up. While tax changes contained in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act have created even more incentives for companies to expand in the U.S. I'm not going to go through each company that is looking to expand in the United States. Meanwhile, despite complaints about the impact of tariffs, there's growing evidence that Trump's higher import duties are not stifling trade or growth. The Wall Street Journal recently published an analysis of CEO mentions of tariffs in quarterly earning calls, concluding executives are starting to chill out about tariffs after a year of anxiety. Hassett predicted the Democrat-led government shutdown will cut fourth quarter growth roughly in half, from the near 4% range of the past 6 months to about 1.5% to 2%. Maybe that's why Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer insisted on keeping the government closed. Democrats know a strong economy doesn't serve their political interests, and how sad is that? Focusing on, and it goes, again, to prove that it was never about affordability. It was never about helping the American people with Schumer's shutdown. But focusing on affordability, the president is rolling back duties on specific items such as coffee and bananas, whose prices have surged. Overall inflation stands just below 3%. The major challenges for consumers and for President Trump remain health insurance and housing costs. Obamacare enrollees face sharp premium increases due to the expiration of extra subsidies created under the American Rescue Act. Politico reports the president is considering a 1 or 2 year extension of those payments, limited to people earning up to 700% of the federal poverty line. If accurate, this seems a reasonable compromise that would give the GOP time to pursue other fixes to the flawed program. Obamacare serves only about 7% of Americans. Since the individual mandate was repealed, the program covers a smaller and sicker population than expected, driving up costs. Some GOP-backed reforms, such as allowing insurers to compete across state lines, were never implemented. It's time to revive those ideas, including real price transparency, so patients can comparison shop, and tort reform to curb unnecessary tests and procedures done mainly to avoid lawsuits. The GOP failed to repeal Obamacare. Now it must fix what's broken. Housing, too, is a hot-button issue, especially for younger voters. High mortgage rates have discouraged buyers and kept supply tight as homeowners with low rates refuse to sell. The Fed seems poised to lower interest rates next month, and once the president's new Fed chair is confirmed, Trump will likely push for continued rate cuts. Lower mortgage rates would unlock frozen housing inventory and make homes more affordable. Trump could also cut tariffs on lumber and home building materials like kitchen cabinets to help reduce construction costs. On immigration, the president has accomplished much by tightening border security and encouraging millions to self-deport. But his aggressive deportations and ICE raids, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment, have alarmed many Americans. What was once a winning issue has become a liability, as his approval rating on immigration has fallen from positive to negative. Hispanics, in particular, are unhappy with Trump's deportation strategy. President Trump should announce that ICE will focus solely on arresting and deporting criminal aliens. He should also revisit popular proposals from his first term, such as adopting a merit-based system like Canada's, ending the diversity visa lottery, and limiting chain migration. The president needs to remind voters that Republicans support legal immigration but oppose illegal immigration, just like most Americans. There is a clear path to victory next November. Trump can and must find it. To piggyback off that, when we come back, I'm going to tell you what Michael Goodwin had to say about it. We are going to talk about ICE raids. I don't know if you saw kind of a breaking story earlier this morning, but White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, she had a relative that was detained by ICE. We'll tell you about that in just a little bit. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
You lather, rinse, moisturize, repeat, and repeat. But it never feels like enough. It's not your products. It's your water. Hard water leaves a mineral residue that clogs pores and dries out hair. Culligan water softeners remove damaging minerals, revitalizing brittle hair and dry skin. Upgrade your shower and skincare routine with Culligan, water you love.
Yeah, hello. I'm really not sure if this is what you all do, but I really don't have anywhere else to turn.
Hi. I don't even know why I'm calling right now. I'm sorry. My thoughts are going a mile a minute.
My kids are out of state. My buddies from the army are all gone now. I'm really alone.
I left the service last year. My mom just passed away a few months ago. I miss so much time with her. I keep getting calls about the bills, and I'm trying to get a job, but I feel so stuck.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called.
Okay, sir. Let's stay on the line and walk through some things.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So, as I mentioned, there's a lot of opinion pieces out. Michael Goodwin, similar to Liz Peek, saying Trump needs to hit the reset button if the GOP wants to win the 2026 midterm. That could be that's an interesting way of wording that, if they want to. As he barrels towards the end of his first year back in the White House, the president is beset by slumping poll numbers and a pileup of problems, some of which are self-inflicted. Even a gaggle of normally obedient Republicans in Congress are growing relentless, and his call for gerrymandering House district lines in red states to pad the GOP advantage in the midterms is in danger of producing the exact opposite outcome. The sheer volume of mounting troubles reflects Trump's supreme self-confidence, grand vision, and his let's do it now management style. On any given day, the combination results in too many balls in the air competing for his attention. The big picture suggests he needs a reset and maybe a rest. In any event, it's time to tighten the focus and follow a more methodical approach so the most important things get sufficient president attention. It's hard not to conclude that Trump's scattered focus is the root cause of what ought to be triggering White House alarms. The president is underwater with voters on every major poll taken this month. More troubling, the numbers are far worse on his handling of the economy, which was the issue at the heart of his landslide victory last year. His recent talk of handing out tariff rebate checks of $2,000 smacks of desperation and echoes the deservedly maligned Obama phone. Three situations that erupted into public view in recent days illustrates the scope of Trump's morass. Although he touted a proposal his aides crafted to settle the Ukraine-Russian war as a sign that something good may just be happening, leaders in Europe and elsewhere blasted it as a shocking capitulation to Russian demands. This was soon followed by another bombshell that revealed the helter-skelter nature of the process, namely that Rubio was caught off guard of the proposal's terms. And I don't want to go through each of these because we just don't have time for it. But Trump haters were especially gleeful over two other black eyes he suffered. A federal judge's decision to toss the indictments of Comey and Letitia James. It unleashed loud cheering in the media peanut gallery. As the New York Times put it, the ruling by Judge Cameron McGowan Curry in Virginia marked the most significant setback yet to the president's effort to force the criminal justice system to punish his perceived foes. The dismissal also served as a rebuke to Attorney General Pam Bondi, who had rushed to carry out Trump's orders. Yes, but the ruling had nothing to do with the merits of the case. which the government promises to file again. The ruling dealt primarily with the role of Lindsay Halligan, a former Trump lawyer whom he wanted Bondi to appoint as an interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. The problem is that Trump had fired the first interim prosecutor, who reportedly said the case against Comey and James lacked sufficient evidence. So this goes into more detail. We know all about that. We talked about it yesterday. And then, again, this is Michael Goodwin from the New York Post. It says here, I don't blame Trump for filing lawsuits against such biased outlets, nor do I find it shocking that he would hit back at Comey and James, who shattered every norm in American history when they weaponized the legal system to go after him. Still, the stakes and the law demand that he and Bondi get their ducks in order before they go down that slippery road. So Trump needs to hit the reset button, maybe focus on some of the bigger issues, according to those two pieces, one by Liz Peek and Michael Goodwin. I read them because I want to kind of skim through them to get your opinion. What are your thoughts as we enter nearly into December of 2025, less than a year before the midterm elections? Okay, as I mentioned or hinted towards, Carolyn Levitt's, quote, criminal illegal alien relative was detained by ICE. A relative of Caroline Levitt, I don't know, I always read that name and I think I'm always pronouncing it wrong, was detained by federal immigration officials in Massachusetts. Bruna Carolyn Ferreira, quote, a criminal illegal alien from Brazil, was taken into custody in Massachusetts after allegedly overstaying her tourist visa that expired in June of 1999. Yeah. Ferreira shares an 11-year-old son with Levitt's brother, Michael. The only concern has always been the safety, well-being, and privacy of my son, said Michael, her brother. Levitt, the country's youngest White House press secretary at 28, hasn't seen Ferreira in several years. Quote, this individual is the mother of Carolyn's nephew, and they have not spoken in many years. The child has lived full-time in New Hampshire with his father since he was born. He has never resided with his mother. Ferreira, who came to the United States with her family as a child, was once arrested on suspicion of battery. She is being held at the South Louisiana ICE Processing Center as she awaits removal proceedings. She entered the U.S. on a B-2 tourist visa that required her to depart the U.S. by June 6, 1999. She is currently at the South Louisiana ICE Processing Center and is in removal proceedings. Under President Trump and Secretary Noem, individuals unlawfully present in the United States are subject to deportation. Ferreira's lawyer contested her arrest, saying she maintained her legal status under the Obama-era Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals and has been working on getting legal status. So there you go. There is an interesting breaking news story that Carolyn Levitt's, quote, criminal illegal alien relative detained by police. All right. Oh, speaking of ICE and speaking of illegal immigration, prepare for this. Beginning today and running through Thanksgiving, there is going to be a new television advertisement challenging immigration and customs enforcement, asking members of ICE to walk away. The commercial, which will air on MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News, in very targeted locations, such as Charlotte, North Carolina, Palm Beach, Florida, Chicago, Illinois. This ad is sponsored by the Women's March, WIN Group. One advertisement features a young girl coloring while Kristi Noem delivers her anti-immigrant message on television in the background. Anti-immigrant. It's a little biased how they word that. The girl rushes to welcome her father returning from home. He's wearing an ICE uniform. The young girl embraces him and asks, "How was your day?" as the uniformed father looks into the camera with existential intensity. The advertisement text reads, "What will you tell her?" before fading to black. The second advertisement shows a masked ICE agent breaking windows as footage of families being torn apart and people being detained appears. It states a mask can't hide you from your neighbors, your children, as footage of weeping immigrant children play. My goodness. They're tugging at the heartstrings, huh? You can walk away before the shame follows you home, the footage says. Once again, plays the little girl's voice saying, "Daddy, how was your day?" before displaying the words, "What will you say?" So I guess we will not have these in our local area, but anti-ice commercials broadcast from today through Thanksgiving. All right, we have a lot to get to when it comes to Mark Kelly. We do have some New York State issues as well. Feel free to weigh in on these issues that we brought up so far, or any issue. As I said, in the 7 o'clock hour, we'll be talking with our friends from Steuben Senior Services Fund. That's coming up in around 7:20, I should say. We will not be in, of course, tomorrow or Friday, but on Monday, we'll be joined by Tom Sharp from Mannheim Steamrollers. And then on Tuesday, Wade Jennings, the grandson of Waylon Jennings, who will be in Hornell for a special holiday concert. He will be joining us on Tuesday's broadcast, and I think we have a couple other people joining us as well. All right, let's take a short break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
An Albany buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
Day one of the National Glider Competition. Severe flooding has caused major disruptions in parts of Steuben County.
Throughout the year, prison reform has become a priority around New York State.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Market Street Corning. Thank you for joining us on Thanksgiving Eve. I'm sure you're stressed out doing some chores around the home, so I hope you have us on in the background. I didn't see as many. I saw a few. I didn't see as many articles this year from the media warning you not to go to Thanksgiving if someone in your family or your friend group is a Trump supporter. That was very common for the last almost 10 years. I only saw the one, and it didn't get into specifics from the New York Times. It was more about don't talk politics, and then someone would argue, yes, talk politics. But I haven't seen as many. I'm sure they're out there, just haven't crossed my desk. So the FBI and the Justice Department officials have sought interviews with the veteran Democrats who implored military service members to, quote, refuse illegal orders. In that controversial video, we're going to talk about Mark Kelly's role in that in just a little bit. But the veteran Democrats accused the Trump administration of harassment and vowed that they wouldn't be deterred after the FBI reached out to the House and Senate Sergeant of Arms for interviews with them. Quote, President Trump is using the FBI as a tool to intimidate and harass members of Congress, said Representatives Chris DeLuzio, Maggie Goodlander, Chrissy Houlihan, and Jason Crow in a joint statement. No amount of intimidation or harassment will ever stop us from doing our jobs and honoring our Constitution. We swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. That oath lasts a lifetime, and we intend to keep it. We will not be bullied. We will never give up the ship. Senators Elise Slotkin and Mark Kelly also participated in the video, with the Arizonan confirming the FBI saw an interview with him as well. We're going to talk about him in just a moment. On Monday, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said the Pentagon is looking into Kelly after the video message encouraging service members to disobey illegal orders. Hegseth revealed that the other 5 veteran Democrats were not subject to the Department of War's jurisdiction. Kelly's conduct brings discredit upon the armed forces and will be addressed appropriately, Hegseth said. Now, the Post has a piece here about Mark Kelly, slammed for his leading role in the Democrats' disgraceful disobey video. Senator Mark Kelly has gotten on his moral high horse, citing his decades of honorable service in the U.S. military, when his central outrage was to prostitute that service in a bid to impugn the sitting president, at the clear risk of encouraging military mutinies. The Pentagon has opened a probe of Kelly's actions. As a Navy retiree receiving significant benefits, he's clearly still subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and the video may constitute a violation of his oaths. In response, the senator's blaring out his service record, also playing for sympathy as the husband of ex-Representative Gabby Giffords, who suffered lasting near-fatal wounds in a madman's 2011 assassination attempt, as if that meant he could do no subsequent wrong. As has been noted, the video starring Kelly and 5 of his congressional colleagues plainly implied that President Trump or his subordinates were likely to issue illegal orders if he hadn't already. Why else would these veterans be emphasizing to active duty personnel that they're obliged to refuse such commands? Worse, the spot plainly risks encouraging soldiers, sailors, Marines, and or airmen to disobey legal orders, perhaps covertly, as with Chelsea Manning and Reality Winner. Perhaps worse in, say, the ongoing deployment near Venezuela. Crucially, the 6 can't identify any such illegal orders because there aren't any. Hilariously, Senator Elisa Slotkin turned to Hollywood for support, stammering, "If you look at popular culture, if you watch A Few Good Men, we have plenty of examples where people were told to follow illegal orders." So that was her example. It's a great movie, but purely imagination. Yet it's the best she could come up with after she seemed to be pointing to a very current danger in the disobey video. Back to Kelly. After Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth rightly fumed that the spot's foolish screed sows doubt and confusion, Kelly blustered that he won't be silenced by bullies who care more about their own power than protecting the Constitution. Again, sowing confusion was the video's clear purpose, even if it mainly aimed to scare civilians. We don't know how carefully the modern military educates its own about what constitutes illegal orders, and so are vulnerable to dark insinuations from veterans like Kelly, which means the senator is the one who's being feckless about protecting the Constitution here. We're not positive a Pentagon investigation is the right course of action in countering Kelly and company's unbecoming conduct. He's certainly trying to exploit that probe to play the martyr. But by citing his service record to pretend that cutting that spot was the action of a hero, not a scoundrel, Kelly is doubling down on the original offense. It was a low, passive-aggressive smear, dishonoring the spirit of his oath of service, whether or not it violates the letter. But you can see the mainstream media making him kind of this hero because of the video. Stephen Collinson from CNN saying the Pentagon's move against war hero Kelly shows Trump's quest for vengeance is endless. His retribution campaign, meaning Trump's, just took 2 embarrassing steps back and 1 giant leap forward. And that was about the Comey and James lawsuits, but then the leap forward was Kelly. Trump has made no secret of his determination to use presidential power to prosecute his opponents in revenge for his own criminal indictments. It was a pillar of his 2024 presidential campaign. But the use of military to target a political foe crosses a new line and invokes the possibility that the free speech of veterans could be constrained if they criticize the commander-in-chief. It also marks an extension of Trump's attempt to use government institutions to weaponize justice against his opponent, a process that the Comey and James case shows already advanced in the DOJ. It's interesting. Boy, it would have been nice if they ever talked about weaponized justice. Weaponized the justice system back when Trump was being targeted. I'm not going to go through all this because you understand it's from CNN. You know what their takeaway is going to be. It is going to be Trump is evil. Mark Kelly is the hero for that video. And as many Republicans anticipate next year's midterm elections with trepidation as voters demand help, their president is obsessing over ancient personal feuds, including the one with Comey, which stretches back nearly a decade. So that's Stephen Collinson from CNN. All right, I heard the courting whistle too, so we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Your tap water is delicious. I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system. What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants. It's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
It's the Black Day sales event at Chilson Wilcox with huge deals on new vehicles all over the lot. Starting with $11,300 savings on Ram, 0% for 72 months on the new Ram Bighorns. Save $9,381 on Wrangler and save $7,400 on Grand Cherokee Altitude X. At the Wrap Up the Year sales event, save $8,300 on Gladiator and Pacifica. And just announced, no payments for 90 days at the Black Friday sales event at Chilson Wilcox.
First life moment. Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. Your kids may be eligible now, even if you've applied before. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Get started now at insurekidsnow.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health.
Oh, look at that beautiful sky this morning. Well, that looks nice on there, doesn't it? A beautiful blue. Someone stands in the middle of the street. That view brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. What is going on there? Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. But boy, that sky is beautiful. Welcome back as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio on Marcus Street. And a couple comments from viewers. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. And just how many convictions were there? Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Good morning. If you bring up politics at Thanksgiving, you will save a lot of money on Christmas gifts. That's true. That is a great point. Bring them out. I say go for it. Did you? I don't know what to think about this, and I don't quite understand the correlation. But did you see that Paramount has announced Rush Hour 4? Do you remember the Rush Hour franchises? With Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker? I guess, and this printed off really small, so that's why I'm staring. But Paramount has confirmed that director Brett Ratner's Rush Hour 4 is now in the works after President Trump reportedly urged producers to consider a fourth entry into the blockbuster buddy cop film series. Sources now say that Paramount is preparing to shell out a flat distribution fee to release Rush Hour 4 in theaters, according to Variety. But Warner Brothers will also back the film with its New Line label, which backed the original films. Now, I don't know, when did this come up with Trump? Did I miss something on this? Oh, by the way, Melania. I forgot Melania, that movie about, of course, Melania Trump, is set to hit theaters around the world in January. So that's coming up very soon. The project will also stream exclusively on Amazon Prime. But I don't know where the rush hour 4 thing, like I said, the Trump media cycle is sometimes so remarkable that you miss something and it's gone away in a blink of an eye. But I don't know where that came from, where Trump reportedly lobbied Larry Ellison from Paramount. I mean, that must have that conversation. He must really like rush hour. Fair enough. Trump yesterday had the pardons for the turkeys. And did you see that he repardoned Joe Biden's turkeys from the previous year because of the use of AutoPen? We're going to talk about that in just a moment. He had a couple things to say about J.B. Pritzker. You see that? Oh, if not, then we got a couple things on, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but Marjorie Taylor Greene. Also, I want to get your opinion on Sean Duffy urging travelers to dress a little bit better and be polite. We've seen all those videos on various flights and how they'll sometimes turn into a knockdown drag out. We've seen pictures of people in pajamas and dressed down, we'll say, to put politely, in the various airlines. We'll talk about that. We've got a couple things here about New York State issues. I feel like we're covering a lot this morning. Does it seem like we're packing in a lot? Does to me. Let's take a short break. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
Fox 10 p.m. News is the first primetime local news for the Twin Tiers. Our reporters, Haley and Dante, scour the Southern Tier to bring you up-to-date news regarding local businesses, economics, and how national decisions impact our area. If you're not near a TV, don't worry. You can also catch our 10 p.m. news live on WYDCTV.com/livestream. Don't miss Big Fox 10 p.m. news on WYDC, on TV, or our website.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Market Street Corning. Thank you so much for joining us as we wrap up our number one, which is hard to believe. Ken writes in, so Trump, who has stopped illegal immigration, stopped 8 wars, brought about fairer trade relations and costs between the U.S. and foreign countries, brought down drug prices, brought trillions of dollars of investments into America, is getting the criminals and gang members out of our country, bringing crime down in our cities, trying to bring deep state criminals to justice, slowing the flow of drugs into America, rooted out and stopped billions of dollars of government fraud and waste, got workers and Social Security recipients tax breaks, brought down inflation, brought down grocery prices, brought down gas prices, needs to take a step back and do a reset? Or could it be that the legacy media and Democrats are desperate to stop Trump from winning? Trump makes the Dems look like corrupt, feckless fools every day. Thank you, Ken. And I think you raise a great point. That's why November's elections were so big to the media, even though it was blue states remaining blue, that was bigger than the general election last year in their mind, because it's the narrative that they want to push, that the Republicans are done. They want to get Republicans discouraged, that there's no sense even going out and voting, Why bother? It's all over but the shouting. So, yeah, it's typical for the mainstream media. I just brought those two articles up earlier in the program, in the broadcast, because they were coming from more conservative outlets and conservative writers. So are they also being kind of duped by the mainstream media narrative? And I like those two people, so I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying if Republicans let that get in their heads, or Trump supporters let that get in their heads, that's exactly what the mainstream media wants for next November. All right, we are going to talk about the pardoning of the turkeys. I know I'm running late this morning, and I feel like on everything, and yet we have so much more to cover in the next hour. Let me do a little housekeeping because we just have a minute before we go to break. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to talk with our friends from Steuben Senior Services Fund, so you don't want to miss that. Then, of course, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. We will be off Thursday and Friday here on Frankly Speaking, but on Monday we'll be talking with Tom Sharp. He's the drummer for Mannheim Steamroller, that band that goes with Christmas perfectly as we get ready for the Christmas season. Then on Tuesday, Way Jennings, the grandson of Waylon Jennings, who will be in Hornell playing a special concert at the Hornell High School. So you'll learn all about that on Tuesday. And don't forget, because it's going to be here in the blink of an eye, the Salvation Army Telethon. There's all the information so you can donate. We've got a very generous donor who is going to match up to $6,000. So we need to raise $6,000 right here on Frankly Speaking. So if you'd be so inclined, you can stop by, bring me a check, just give me a heads up. You can text me. We can figure out some place to get it. You can mail it to us here. Maybe I should add the address here. Mail it to me at 33 East Market Street, 33 East Market Street here in Corning. I'll add that to that screen for future reference. Or you can go online, or you can text, because we need to raise that $6,000. So if you're giving $100, it's actually like you're giving $200. So keep that in mind. The Salvation Army, and in full disclosure, I am the chairman of the advisory board, but I see the numbers and how much they do for our community, and it's amazing. And because they're so humble, you don't always learn what they're doing behind the scenes and what they're doing for our community. But trust me, that if we can reach it, that $6,000, which will be $12,000, will do so much good for our community. So please help out. And if you have any questions about how to donate, let me know. We'll make sure to make it as easy as possible on you. All right, when we come back, like I said, we'll talk with Steuben Senior Services Fund a little bit later on in the next hour. We'll be taking your comments, passing them along, your questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, and we'll repeat, in case you missed it, Karen's quote of the week. That's in the top of the 7 o'clock hour. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me, to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
An Albany buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bust.
Thousands lined the pier at Seneca Harbor. Race weekend brought thousands to Watkins Glen International.
Hundreds and horseheads joined other cities around the country on Saturday for the No Kings protest.
Day one of the National Glider Competition, severe flooding has caused major disruptions in parts of Steuben County.
Throughout the year, prison reform has become a priority around New York State.
Black Friday means only one thing. It's time to start hot tubbing with your very own Hesselson's Hot Tub. Start making every day better by relaxing and being stress-free with hot water therapy in your very own backyard. With savings up to $5,000, why wait? Plus, 0% interest financing options up to 5 full years. All floor models must be sold at huge discounts as 2026 models are arriving daily. Don't wait, as Hesselson's annual Black Friday sales event will end Saturday at 5 p.m. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corner.
Welcome to hour number 2. Well, frankly speaking, here On WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Market Street in Corning. I thank you so much for joining us, excuse me. I've got so many comments coming in. I'm getting distracted. Yeah, sorry. I'm distracted. Got to get back on track. I need a reset. Not Trump. I need a reset. Comment from a viewer. I couldn't agree more with Ken. TDS, Trump's derangement syndrome, is so embedded into the media and the controlling arm of the Democratic Party. Nothing he does for the good of the country will ever be enough or ever be approved by them. And to your point, a comment from a different viewer, which kind of ties in a humorous way. Frank, breaking news. When President Trump pardoned the turkeys, 15 liberal judges ruled it to be a unconstitutional pardon. That could be true. Those turkeys may not be safe quite yet. But I agree with everything that both of those viewers said and what Ken said. Nothing is ever going to be seen as a positive that Trump does. And that's been the media's goal since day one. Let's face it. And they're trying to discourage you as Trump supporters or MAGA supporters. Okay, comment from Mark. This question is for you. Are you going to do some deer hunting during your 4-day vacation? And if so, get her done. Yes, I plan. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. I plan on going out a little bit. Probably not Thanksgiving, but I plan on going out otherwise. And I hopefully I will get her done. I appreciate that. If you missed it in the 6 o'clock hour, Karen sent in her quote of the week, and it comes from art professor, poet, and theologian. I don't know. I'm just going to keep butchering that. I don't know why I struggle with it. Johannes Gartner, who said, quote, to speak gratitude is courteous and pleasant. To enact gratitude is generous and noble. But to live gratitude is to touch heaven. That's such a nice quote on Thanksgiving Eve. And Karen says, happy Thanksgiving to everyone and God bless. Well, thank you, Karen. Happy Thanksgiving to you and God bless you as well. All right. Yesterday was the big turkey pardon. Trump made it into like a comedy show. The president said former President Joe Biden used an auto pen for last year's turkey pardons, calling them totally invalid. The turkeys known as Peach and Blossom last year have been located and they were on their way to be processed. But I've stopped that journey and I'm officially pardoning them and they will not be served as Thanksgiving dinner. So suggesting last year's turkeys were saved by the auto pen. He then highlighted his turkeys that he was pardoning this year, Gobble and Waddle, said to be the plumpest birds presented at the annual event. He said, when I first saw their pictures, I was going to call them Chuck and Nancy, meaning Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. But then I realized I wouldn't be pardoning them. I would never pardon those two people. I wouldn't care what Melania told me. He also said my more enthusiastic staffers were already drafting the paperwork to ship Gobble and Waddle straight through the terrorist confinement center in El Salvador, and even those birds don't want to be there. Trump said his team drafted a joke about J.B. Pritzker, but he was too angry to read it after hearing about a woman burned on a Chicago train, as Pritzker refuses Trump's request for partnership on a federal-led crime crackdown. Trump said instead, the mayor is incompetent and the governor is a big fat slob. Some speechwriter wrote some joke about his weight, but I would never want to talk about his weight. I don't care about people being fat. I refuse to talk about the fact that he's a fat slob. I'd like to lose a few pounds too, by the way, and I'm not going to lose it during Thanksgiving. Yeah, calling J.B. Pritzker. Now, J.B. Pritzker, in his own mind anyway, is a presidential contender. He clearly he comes from money, born with a silver spoon in his mouth, lots of money. He wants to be president. And he started off kind of early in the resistance. I'm not saying Democrats didn't resist Trump from second one. I'm saying he was one of the ones that came out more angry, more kind of using curse language, swearing, using kind of violent rhetoric, if you will, in defining Trump and what he wants to do to the Trump administration. So obviously Trump's no fan of J.B. Pritzker, but calling him a big fat slob. The mayor is incompetent and the governor is a big fat slob. He ought to invite us and say, please make Chicago safe. We're going to lose a great city if we don't do it quickly. Minutes later, into his remarks, Trump was in full comedian-in-chief mode, trolling Pritzker. I looked at the various cases, granting mercy, discovering the terrible trauma that everyone's going through, and I had a little bit of a Pritzker joke. I'm going to talk about Pritzker in size. But when I talk about Pritzker, I get angry because he's not letting us do the job. So I'm not going to tell my Pritzker joke. They have a very cute little Pritzker joke. Some speechwriter wrote some joke about his weight, but I would never want to talk about his weight. I don't talk about people being fat. I refuse to talk about the fact that he's a fat slob. I don't mention it. This wasn't the first time that Trump picked on Pritzker for this. In August, the president said the Democrat ought to spend more time in the gym, actually, which Pritzker shot back the next day, saying it takes one to know one on the weight question. Okay. That's a stretch from Pritzker. But now, Pritzker wants to be kind of like Cory Booker. There are these people that are looking for, sometimes you could argue, pathetic ways, such as the non-filibuster filibuster, to get attention in the sense of Cory Booker, where they're trying desperately to move up to some type of front-runner status. Now, right now, according to Politico, well, I should say last week when the article came out, Politico said, face the fact, Gavin Newsom is the front-runner. But you also have Harris's name thrown around in there, J.B. Pritzker, Cory Booker, who am I forgetting? Of course, Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania. Now, one of the names, and this was kind of just a quick blip, but when Marjorie Taylor Greene decided to announce her retirement, we brought to you the time frame on that and why it was a very selfish move by her because of the timing. Not only does it disrupt what's going to happen in Congress, could actually lead to another government shutdown because at the time that they need to pass a budget, she will be there no longer. So that's one less vote, and the special election won't have happened by then. But we also learned because of it, she now gets her forever pension, her lifetime pension. She is now vested in that system. That's why the date was so kind of random to many people. I think it's January 5th, but it had everything to do with so she'll receive her lifetime pension. So just to show you, you've turned into kind of the, and this is a political term, useful idiot, when Jimmy Kimmel embraces Marjorie Taylor Greene now. Kimmel discussed Greene's announcement that she will resign from Congress on January 5th, which is conveniently 3 days after she qualifies for her congressional pension. Just 3 days after she qualifies for her congressional pension. So remember, when she's taking this quote-unquote high road, when she's trying to reshape Washington and Washington's become too corrupt and too bad, remember what she did and why she did it when she did it. Kimmel is thrilled that Greene has turned against Donald Trump and is equally thrilled she is leaving Congress. There's going to be one less puddle of sweat on the floor mat of the congressional gym because Marjorie Taylor Greene, yet another Trump superfan, learns that loyalty to him goes only one way, said Jimmy Kimmel. Then he continued, welcome to reality, Marge. We're glad to have you here. Make yourself a home. Feel free to check out our science wing while you have a chance. I mean, imagine being the butt of a joke from Jimmy Kimmel because you think you're taking some moral high road. I mean, this is the problem, and that's why the term useful idiot is used so much in politics because, in this case, of course, they use her but then still attack her, mock her, very often mock her looks. But Daniel McCarthy, do I have time? We are going to hear from Stu Ben Senior Services Fund here in just a little bit. I see some great comments coming in, some waves coming in. One viewer writes, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I agree with Secretary Duffy. No pajamas. You will feel better about yourself if you respect your appearance. Enjoy your Thanksgiving weekend. Thank you. I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving as well. And I would agree. That's in reference, if you haven't heard, Sean Duffy is saying dress a little better. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And be more polite, or just be polite at all. Boy, some of those videos you see on flights makes you not want to fly. But I want to wrap up our discussion on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Daniel McCarthy says, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a singular politician, a maverick, though not in the John McCain sense. The Arizona senator was beloved by the media. MTG never was. at least not until she started feuding with President Trump. On the contrary, her reputation in the press was as the poster girl for the GOP's conspiracy wing. I've got to take a step back. John McCain wasn't really beloved by the media. He was beloved in the sense that he was a Republican, quote unquote, willing to cross the aisle, meaning he was willing to cave to Democrats at all times. He was willing to badmouth other Republicans, going back all the way to George W. Bush. They did not, him and George W. Bush did not have a lot of affection towards each other. But of course, he attacked Donald Trump when he first got in, which there's him and Romney are similar in that sense. They couldn't pull off a win and actually both lost in disastrous fashion, embarrassing fashion, and Donald Trump could win. So there was a little bit of jealousy there. There's a little bit of anger there. But John McCain was only loved by the media because he was a Republican willing to badmouth Republicans and willing to go against his party. But I want to continue with what this piece had to say. But it's not what sets her apart from other Republicans that makes Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation from the House significant. What the president and GOP leaders in Congress have to worry about is how typical she might be of legislators frustrated by what the future holds. According to Punch Bowl News, this entire White House team has treated all members like garbage, and Speaker Mike Johnson has let it happen. A particularly exercised senior House Republican told Punch Bowl. Now, according to this unnamed source, nearly all Republicans in Congress, appropriators, authorizers, hawks, doves, rank and file, feel run roughshod and threatened by the administration, which doesn't so much as allow little wins like announcing small grants or even responding from agencies. And members know they're going into the minority after the midterms. I mentioned that article to you yesterday. Should such claims posted by one journalist on X be taken seriously? The language might be hyperbole, but Congress is obviously not a happy place these days, even for the party in the majority. Once Greene leaves, the majority will be down to 5 seats until her vacancy and others are filled. Greene won her last election by a 2-1 margin, so Republicans can be confident of holding that seat. But in the interim, an already virtually ungovernable House will be that much harder for Johnson to wrangle. Midterms usually go poorly for the party in power, and Republicans' efforts to redraw red state congressional maps to secure a few more seats have run into headwinds in the courts and in the form of blue states like California, clearing the way for their own partisan redistricting. So yes, Republicans are staring at the likelihood of losing the House in a year. Though it's easy to scoff at, one thing that typically keeps members of Congress from despairing when they're facing minority status is their devotion to a cause, or at least a program. For decades, for most Republicans, that cause was conservatism, as Ronald Reagan understood it. Trump does have a cause, or rather he is a cause, and he has a program which congressional Republicans mostly support. But the president has never really made his party's legislators feel partners in his effort. They're more a means to his end. This is Daniel McCarthy. Take it with a grain of salt. Or I don't mean take it with a grain of salt. I want to get your opinion on it. And then Trump has deferred to Congress, as he did to some extent during his first term, over attempts to repeal and replace Obamacare. The results have been a wreck. Obamacare is still here, and the record-long government shutdown that ended mere weeks ago arose from Democrats holding the government ransom in an attempt to expand an extension of Obamacare subsidies. The inability of a Republican president with a Republican Congress to overhaul Obamacare set the stage for that agony this year. And what's next? With such a slender House majority, Trump doesn't want to depend on Congress to pass his agenda. Meanwhile, House Republicans have had an agenda of their own for the last 25 years. They've been happiest and enjoyed the strongest majorities when a Democrat has occupied the White House and they've played spoiler. But 3 years ago, they suffered a crushing disappointment when they didn't get that kind of boost they expected from Joe Biden's midterms. They made gains but clawed their way to only a modest majority, not much bigger than today's. Reagan is long gone, and nobody is quite sure what happens to Trumpism once Trump himself is no longer on the ballot. How many Republicans in Congress want to stick around to find out? The answer, in fact, is most of them. But it wouldn't take many more choosing Greene's way out to throw control of the House into jeopardy well before November. The House isn't certain what the future holds for Trumpism, but without the House, Trump's own future may become a closed book, with no new chapters as he coasts to the end of his second term. Neither the president, neither the president nor his party can afford to call it quits this soon. No matter how unruly the closely divided House might be, it's time the president tried governing with his party in Congress. And it's time Republicans in Congress learned Trump's most important lesson. to write their own destiny instead of echoing politics past. Congress needs what Trump brought back to the presidency, daring and relevance. So kind of a different look on these stories that we've had all this morning, looking ahead to 2026. All right, we've got other topics to discuss, but coming up next, we're going to be talking with our friends from Steuben Senior Services Fund. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
It's the Black Friday sales event at Chilson Wilcox with huge deals on new vehicles all over the lot. Starting with $11,300 savings on Ram, 0% for 72 months on the new Ram Bighorns. Save $9,381 on Wrangler and save $7,400 on Grand Cherokee Altitude X. At the Wrap Up the Year sales event, save $8,300 on Gladiator and Pacifica. And just announced, no payments for 90 days at the Black Friday sales event at Chilson Wilcox.
Did you know that children growing up with poor air quality have smaller lungs and higher rates of asthma than children that grow up with good air quality? And unfortunately, poor communities have poor air quality. IQ Air Foundation is working to change this. Today, the IQ Air Foundation provides filtration technology to schools with poor air quality through our Clean Air for Kids program. Our goal is to help over 50,000 school children every year breathe over 90% cleaner air indoors, helping to level the playing field, reduce barriers to learning, reduce sick days, and increase test scores. Mitigating poor air quality is key to environmental justice. Help Clean Air for Kids reach more children at IQAirFoundation.org.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. Retirement is the long game. We can't play about our future or our finances. Let's put ourselves in the right position.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and it's time to talk about Steuben Senior Services Fund. Welcome back to the program.
Oops. Thank you so much.
Yes, there's a lot. How's the year been? I think we haven't talked since the
active, busy. We had our big fundraiser at the end of July that was a huge success.
I saw the pictures. They look wonderful.
Oh, they were, yes. And the people had a wonderful time. I think it's our best ever. We raised over $25,000 in that one day.
Wow.
So that was pretty exciting.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to have you back on to talk about that.
Oh, absolutely.
In the future. But right now, it's that time of year, appeals campaign. Tell us a little bit about this campaign.
Well, we have a mailing list that we send a newsletter out to several times a year, and we also send out an invitation to give to what we're doing in Steuben County for our seniors here.
Yeah. And so can people sign up for that if they're not already on the mailing list?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
We'd love to have people sign up.
Well, what's the appeals look like? It kind of gives a recap of the year? Or?
Well, what we do is we have I don't know if anybody can see this, but this is a little folded flyer that we send out thanking people for giving to us, and then on the back of it, it tells the statistics about what's going on in Steuben County. For example, older adults make up nearly a third of our population in Steuben County, which is more than the state average.
Yeah.
And there's real people, obviously, behind those numbers. 9.3% of those folks deal with poverty.
Oh, wow.
26% over that live alone. And what we find is just, you wouldn't think in this day and age that there's isolation, but there is. a lot
Of
of
course.
isolation of particularly older people. So that's what we're trying to address through our Full Circle America program.
Right, and I want to talk about Full Circle America here in just a second. But you said people can sign up, they can make their donations, because this is very important to keep the program going, isn't it?
Oh, yes, very, very much so. We can raise $25,000 in one day, but that's that's not going to
Drop
do
in the
it.
bucket,
No, that's
yeah.
a drop in the bucket. It's wonderful. We're very appreciative of all the businesses, all the sponsors that give to that particular event, but we obviously have to do much more than that
Right.
to be able to get to where we want to be in serving the seniors. We do have a website where people can actually go to that website and donate online if
Oh,
they
okay.
would like to. And that's at www.steubenseniorsservicesfund.org.
Perfect.
And
we-
they can read all about what we do and
see
donate
those same
as well.
numbers. See those
Yeah.
same numbers, and but like you said, there's real people behind those numbers. That's why I think it's important to send that out.
Mhm.
You know, to spread the word. So tell us a little bit for those who haven't seen you on the program before. Tell us a little bit about Full Circle America and what that is.
I think it's important for Linda to give a little history first, and
Okay.
then I will get into it.
Okay, that sounds perfect. So about 10 years ago, a gentleman came to me and said, I want you to read this book, and I want you to do something about it for the seniors of this county. And I read the book actually that night.
Oh, wow.
I took it to my board of directors. They all read it. It's by Dr. Teal. Who is the person that we work with, the physician who is up in Maine. And so we were excited about what he offered through the Full Circle America program. His book is called Aging and Invisible No More.
Okay.
And how he, through the years as a professional geriatrician, sought to address the concerns of older people, to keep them, to have a circle of care around them, to make sure that they were safe, but aging at home as they wanted to. And he tried a lot of different approaches, and he finally stumbled on the idea of using technology, volunteers, and a care manager who could bring this whole thing together in that circle of care.
Right.
So we had him come to Steuben County actually 10 years ago, and he explained. We had an overflowing crowd over at the Radisson, very excited about what he had to offer, and out of that we pulled together the Full Circle America project for Steuben County.
Did you think it would grow the way it has in 10 years?
I had a vision
Yeah.
for it to grow.
Yeah. After
yes.
reading the book, you felt passionate about it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And every place that there's been that underlying support, he's been able to get it going. It's just hard because Medicare doesn't pay for it. We have to literally raise every cent here that we have for the program. And the thing that always impresses me is that the people who seem very passionate about it, in addition to the older people, are family members,
sure,
caregivers. Oh, I'm going through that with my mom and dad, my grandparents. Wow, that would really help our family.
Yeah.
And so that's where we get a lot of buy-in.
Mm-hmm. And tell us a little bit about the program itself, other than the history.
So currently, we have served to date 115 members.
Wow.
I have 30 active right now. And so it's really to support the member, but as well as the caregiver, because many of us are still having to maintain employment.
Sure.
But we worry about our loved one at home.
Absolutely.
So through a series of cameras, and I thought maybe your audience might
I
want to
think
take
that'd
a
be great.
look at
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
I don't think we've ever showcased this before, but it really is up to 3 cameras that look like this. They're
Okay.
very small. They're
Futuristic
passive.
looking.
I know, right? They're passive.
We are the future.
Yeah.
So they don't pick up any conversation, but they take a series of snapshots every 8 minutes. And then this little box just plugs in to the router.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
That's simple.
Yep, takes me about an hour
Mm-hmm.
to install after great conversation with our members, and they're generally their family members.
Mm-hmm.
Normally they're installed into a kitchen, a living room, and then maybe down a hallway so we can see someone transitioning from their bedroom to their bathroom.
Gotcha.
It's just through conversation. What we want to be able to see is to make sure that if someone were to fall, it would be captured and help would be
On the way.
then on the way. Yeah.
So who's on the other side of that camera?
Well, that's the exciting part. It's medical staff at Dr. Teal's office in Maine.
Okay.
They check in, and it's not sitting there and watching all the time by any manner
Yeah,
of means.
yeah.
It's just checking in. They know the pattern of the people as they get used to them. They know when they get up in the morning, when they go to bed at night, when they seem to go out and that type of thing. And so they monitor, say, 10 a.m., 4 p.m., 9 p.m. and then 4 a.m. So it's 4 times a day. And also the family can be connected.
That's great. So even if the family's local, if they're far away, they can always check in.
That's the beauty of it,
Yeah.
right? And so that's just one piece of what we do through Full Circle. So this is not something that we can do alone. We have many partnerships in the community.
Sure.
Mainly through OFA, Office for the Aging of Steuben County. It's really just linking our member and their caregivers with other resources, because we don't really want somebody to be in that emergency situation, if at all possible. Let's just prepare ahead of time when you can, right? And just help people obtain those resources. So it could be like meals in the home, right? It could be a life alert button.
Transportation.
That's a major
Our
issue.
senior companion program.
That's the exciting thing. We're featuring that this year. The Senior Companion Program has started through the Office for Aging and AmeriCorps Senior. And one of our very wonderful members of Full Circle America has been paired with one of the first senior companions, and she visits with her, takes her for hikes, takes her to the landfill if she needs to go, takes her to the senior center. It's just, that involvement. We also have wellness ambassadors assigned to some of our members, and they do the same thing, the visiting, the, maybe even checking blood pressure and some things like that, and putting those numbers in the hub for Dr. Teal to be able to see.
So how hands-on is Dr. Teal's office? It sounds like they're very active.
Very active.
Yeah.
Very active. So I have the ability to monitor cameras as well. And so if one goes down, or I'm not able to see that at that moment, maybe I'm on the road somewhere, I will get a text from the office manager usually in Maine saying, hey, can you go take a look at so-and-so's camera? Like I was out yesterday twice to do that.
Wow.
It's really just very, very hands-on. So
that's great.
It is.
What an amazing program, and to think of how much it has grown in 10 years, because technology changes, everything changes, and to adapt to that, to just make it better.
But this is so simple, right? And and it's really through great conversations that we have. The member gets to drive the ship of what they want to have happen in their home,
Absolutely.
right? And so it's important to just have that ongoing conversation, what the needs are, what are the fears, what are the desires, to age in place, and just see if we can link those members and their caregivers to those resources to help them age in place in their home.
What's the best place for people watching this right now and they want to find out more, maybe they want to participate in the program? What should they do?
Please feel free to call us. We're co-located with the Steuben County Office for the Aging. We have our website if you want to read more about the program, the statistics, what our mission is, who our sponsors are, and how to give. It's all right on our website. You can call and talk with us. We'd love to talk with people. We often get calls from family members just, I'm concerned with this, and and they come from all over the United States, really. Many local and many elsewhere.
Okay, and people can volunteer too, right? Or at least, because you mentioned give, but you're always looking for volunteers.
Well, we have the wellness ambassador position, and that's a visitor position. They don't have to be retired nurses or anything like that, just somebody who's interested in connecting with people and helping them to be less lonely.
Well, so check the website. Thank you so much for giving us so much time, and happy holidays.
Oh, thank
you.
you.
Happy
Thank you so much.
holidays to you and your audience.
Good luck with your appeals campaign.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
It's Kyle's last spin on his turntable.
Yeah.
And the first day of Kira's new career in IT. When you donate to Goodwill, you help provide skills training and career placement. And the things you loved start a new life too.
Having a safe home is essential to many aspects of our lives. From a sense of community and safety, to physical and mental health, to economic security and independence. Most homes in our communities are not accessible and are not designed to accommodate the changes that come with age, including the risk of falling. the Older Adults Home Modification Program helps reduce the risk of falls, improves safety, and increases accessibility and independence. Through this program, Rebuilding Together works with older adults to provide no-cost preventative home repairs so our neighbors can safely age in place in the homes and communities they love. To learn more, visit rebuildingtogether.org/safeathome.
I was back at Hardaway High School, college first round draft pick. During the football season, I would stop eating. But I didn't know I was depressed. We didn't have any education behind what mental health was. I started to learn it starts here first. If this is together, I'll be better as a father and as a husband. We have to redefine what being a strong man is and heal, love your mind.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. I would like to thank our friends from Stu Ben Senior Services Fund for joining us this morning. We've got a lot of guests coming up next week as well, so prepare for that. Now, we've had a lot of comments about this morning. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has urged travelers to practice civility and dress a little bit better at airports and on planes, as what officials predict will be the busiest recorded Thanksgiving travel week. Speaking with reporters at New Jersey's Newark Liberty International Airport, Duffy warned of packed airports and long TSA lines, but I think we have to think about how do we do a better job. Maybe we should say please and thank you to our pilots and to our flight attendants. I call this just maybe dressing with some respect, whether it's a pair of jeans and a decent shirt. I would encourage people maybe dress a little better, which encourages us to maybe behave all a little better. Let's try not, I can't believe he has to essentially announce this, but he says, let's try not to wear slippers and pajamas as we come to the airport. I think that's positive. So the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, needing to tell people, hey, maybe not slippers and your house coat in the airport. Now, Kristen Fleming at the New York Post said she got right to the point. You're all a bunch of slobs, and it's time we have a serious chat about it. Kudos to Sean Duffy, the U.S. Secretary of Transportation, for addressing a festering and ever-deteriorating situation in this country. How we're dressing in airports. In a word, poorly. There are far too many people showing up to flights like traveling hobos. They're wearing stained Garfield pajama pants and dragging their pillows and blankets through Terminal 2. Sometimes their shirts can barely contain their guts, and their shorts reveal more than they cover. It's a national disgrace, she said. Now, we've had some tough words on this from viewers, but let's boil it down. Kristen Fleming not pulling any punches. Duffy, who is trying to up the collective standard in our nation's air travel, has introduced a civility campaign to usher in a new golden age of travel. Just in time for the Thanksgiving scramble. He wants to jumpstart a nationwide conversation around how we can all restore courtesy and class to air travel. And there is something to be said there. We've all seen the videos, the viral videos of people and their behavior on flights, not just necessarily what they wear, but to Sean Duffy's point, if you are dressing better, you may feel better, you may feel a different level of respect or courtesy towards others. Outside of our shabby duds, Duffy urges us to be polite to fellow passengers. It's almost like he's talking to children, but I guess in a way. Help the pregnant lady. Thank the staffers. And refrain from turning the cabin into fight night at the Double Deuce. We're on the plane to safely move from one city to another, not produce the next viral altercation. Dress with respect, he says. Whether it's a pair of jeans and a decent shirt, as I mentioned earlier. In an era not too long ago, that was also understood. It's pathetic that anyone needs to be reminded that there should be a distinction between how you dress in your pigsty bedroom and how you step out in public. But it's also good to bring this issue into the public sphere with an earnest appeal to civility. Let's acknowledge that this once genteel mode of transportation has devolved into a showcase of the slovenly. We used to have personal standards. And she goes through and talks about, and you've all seen the pictures, maybe even family pictures, of people getting ready to take off on a flight, many times wearing the suit jacket or the blazer, the tie. Of course, that was a time when clothing was durable and silhouettes were classic and trend-proof, before we even dreamed about a thing called athleisure. Dressing for comfort didn't exist. And yes, it was also when air travel was much more civilized. There was space for you to sit down, and you didn't need to elbow wrestle a traveling salesman for your armrest. Now passengers are treated like cattle, so there's something to be said about that. Airlines haven't given us any incentive to get all gussied up, but that doesn't mean we should dress for dumpster diving, she writes. Of course, we can't just go back to the standard that existed last century. You can't keep people in stiff suits and prim dresses once they've experienced the magic of a cotton, spandex, and nylon blend. But Duffy doesn't want to force us back into tailored suits and prim dresses. He simply wants us to quit being such pigs. There's a happy medium between a blazer and a tie and a cruddy sweatshirt. His is a reasonable request. When you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you're less inclined to fistfight the person in 12E because they mistakenly bumped you on the way to ask the flight attendant for another vodka soda. This axiom also applies outside of TSA territory. Sweeping TikTok now is the delightful quarter zip movement in which young people are ditching saggy jeans and sweatshirts for fitted trousers and a neat pressed quarter zip top. The result, advocates say, is a polished look that changes their confidence level and how they're viewed in the world. A game changer. As a culture, we took Casual Friday and rode it off a cliff straight into the gutter. It's time to pull ourselves out and restore some personal pride. Fair point. I thought Kristen Flemings really hit the nail on the head, and I thought it was worth mentioning. We got to take a short break because when we come back, we have some New York State updates. Also, reading some of your comments when we come back. Let me see what else we have. Oh, as I mentioned, don't forget on Monday we'll be joined by Thomas Sharp of Mannheim Steamroller. They're going to be at the Clemens Center. We're going to hear all about that show, what you can expect. And then on Tuesday we're going to be talking to Wade Jennings. He is the grandson of Waylon Jennings, but has started his own music career, and he is going to be in Hornell next Sunday as well. And he's doing a very special holiday concert at the Hornell High School. So that will be on Tuesday. Wednesday, we're going to be talking with Corning Penny Post High School Drama Club. They've got Irving Berlin's White Christmas the Musical coming up next week. This is a busy time of year, as you can tell. So there's a little bit of housekeeping. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day 1 of the National Glider Competition.
You lather, rinse, moisturize, repeat, and repeat. But it never feels like enough. It's not your products. It's your water. Hard water leaves a mineral residue that clogs pores and dries out hair. Culligan water softeners remove damaging minerals, revitalizing brittle hair and dry skin. Upgrade your shower and skincare routine with Culligan, water you love.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital. I feel like a fish with no water.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Because even one attack is one too many.
You can just keep watching and scrolling, and the world will still feel like it's falling apart.
Widespread missile attack. Highest hospitalization. Evacuation in the west.
Or you can take action by joining a movement that's creating real and lasting change instead. Partnering with communities around the globe to help uproot poverty and plant seeds of hope for a brighter tomorrow. Because at World Vision, we believe that no situation is hopeless. Join a movement that's changing the world for good.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's get to some New York State issues. Did you receive, just in time for Thanksgiving, your boon, your inflation refund check? Well, according to Governor Hochul's office, more than 8 million inflation refund checks have been mailed to New Yorkers ahead of Thanksgiving. Hochul saying, today marks the day that over 8.2 million inflation refund checks have been mailed out, putting money back into the pockets of individuals across the state. We followed through on our commitment to deliver meaningful relief to hardworking New Yorkers and will continue to look for additional opportunities to deal with the nation's ongoing affordability challenge. Now, I did finally receive my check, and I'm not scoffing at $200, but as you purchase all the fixins for Thanksgiving, do you consider that $200 meaningful relief? In the release, it says the Inflation Refund Check Program represents the largest direct aid effort of its kind in state history. In total, it provides $2.2 billion in unrestricted financial relief to residents. According to the governor's office, inflation rebate has reached every region of New York. As a matter of fact, if you look at the southern tier, well, let's just look at the southern tier. 251,000 checks have been sent out, totaling $66.7 million. There you are. Speaking of boons, speaking of making a little extra folding money, walking around money, now, he doesn't need the refund check because Zohran Mamdani is receiving a pay raise already. Many are questioning whether he'll take it or not because we're talking about affordability. That was his big campaign issue. So as the Post puts it, affordability for them. One of socialist Zohran Mamdani's first decisions as mayor would be whether to give himself and his city council a big, fat pay raise. Councilwoman Natasha Williams pushed a bill Tuesday to bump pay for the city's elected officials by more than 16%, with an eye to sending it to Mamdani's desk after he's sworn in as mayor on January the 1st. But the original plan for the bill had originally been to set up a speedy vote this month before Mamdani took office. A maneuver council members had to scuttle when they realized city law blocked them from voting on the pay raises during the post-election lame duck period. The hasty, confused pay push raised eyebrows among many insiders who gossiped that the city council was either trying to pull an end run around the incoming mayor or spare him an embarrassing early decision. Kelman Yeager, Democratic State Assemblyman and former council member, said, "The only thing I think they are worried that the mayor-elect won't do it. They're afraid that if they pass it in January, he'd have to veto. How does the mayor-elect justify it, saying the working man can't afford milk? He can't sign off and give them a $20,000 raise." Wow. Well, that would equate to a $20,000 raise. The bill, if approved, would give council members their first raise in nearly a decade and swell their salary budget from $7.5 million to $8.8 million. They'd see their salaries jump from, get this, how much they make a year. No wonder these are such contested races. If you're on the council, your salary is anywhere between $148,500 to $172,500. The lawmakers wouldn't be the only ones to benefit. So that, excuse me, I worded that strangely, so let me clarify that. Their salary currently is $148,500. If the raise goes through, if Zohran Mamdani approves it, they would now be getting paid $172,500 a year. That's his first decision out of the gate. Now, Elise Stefanik, before we head to a commercial, Representative Elise Stefanik, running for governor against Kathy Hochul, she issued a challenge to Governor Hochul over a member of Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani's transition team. That member of his transition team voiced support for infamous cop killers in the past. Lumumba Bandali was picked to serve on the incoming mayor's Committee on Community Organizing, despite previously aligning with Black Liberation Army members convicted of killing police officers in the tri-state area. Stefanik quickly blasted the tongue-tied this morning, the decision, and called on Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul to pressure Mamdani to push Bandil aside. Quote, Kathy Hochul's endorsed Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani just picked a man who supports the killers of cops in New Jersey and New York to serve on his transition team. Mamdani's vision for New York is getting very clear and is starting to look like a nightmare. Kathy Hochul must immediately call on Mamdani to fire Lumumba Bandali from his transition team. As of this reporting, no comment from Governor Hochul's office. Now, they're asking the question at Politico, did Trump and Mamdani's warm conversation, warm meeting, their quote-unquote embrace, complicate Elise Stefanik's path to governor? The president fawned over the mayor-elect, parting with the New York Republican who has claimed he's a jihadist. This coming from, again, Politico and Nick Reisman. President Trump's astonishingly chummy Oval Office meeting with Zohran Mamdani could not have come at a worse time for Stefanik. The New York Republican is mounting an uphill gubernatorial bid in a deep blue state, building her campaign on the argument that Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul is the nation's worst chief executive, and tying Hochul to the 34-year-old Democratic socialist. But they're saying that Trump blew up that message with what appeared to be a friendly meeting. There was little doubt within the MAGA movement that the meeting at least temporarily undercut Stefanik's central campaign premise. Laura Loomer said, Dems just need to run clips of the presser today to defeat Elise. The surreal love fest underscored the limitation and hazards for a Trump ally like Stefanik as she runs to lead a state where Democrats have a massive enrollment advantage. The president is unpopular, and a GOP candidate has not won statewide office in a generation. This, however, potentially cuts both ways for Democrats who have otherwise relished the photos of a giddy Trump smiling at Mamdani. Stefanik, in an interview with News 12 yesterday, said, I stand by my statement. He is a jihadist. This is an area where President Trump and I disagree. But what we all want to work toward is making New York more affordable and safe, and that's where I have a very strong record and working relationship with the administration. Stefanik acknowledged that there are areas where she and Mamdani can potentially work together. Her campaign knocked Mamdani as a dangerous threat to New Yorkers and argued his policies will further Hochul's affordability and crime crisis. So your thoughts on that. But we got to take a short break. Whew. This show is going quickly. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Black Friday week means only one thing. It's time to start hot tubbing with your very own Hesselson's Hot Tub. Start making every day better by relaxing and being stress-free with hot water therapy in your very own backyard. With savings up to $5,000, why wait? Plus, 0% interest financing options up to 5 full years. All floor models must be sold at huge discounts as 2026 models are arriving daily. Don't wait, as Hesselson's annual Black Friday sales event will end Saturday at 5 p.m. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Who are you? Your lungs. We are proud of you for quitting smoking, but you still may be at risk for lung cancer.
A routine cancer scan can detect it early.
Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Kids aren't only ones drowning in social media, but teens are definitely the most attached to their phones, which is not all good. Kids who spend too much time texting and posting are more likely to feel isolated and depressed. No one is saying throw your phone away, but once in a while, try actually calling somebody. Talking is even more social than social media. For more clues on how to clear your head and brighten your outlook, try visiting one more site. Your life.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments. Yeah, I agree. Dress better on flights. If you want to see people in pajamas, go to Walmart. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. When you put lipstick on a pig, you have a pig with lipstick. How about scrolling signs for information instead of muffled blah that elicits, what did they say? This meaning in airplanes, and couple inches both ways. Yes, they are tight on airplanes. I think you are suggesting people that are treated like livestock should wear a suit and tie for the privilege. Thank you very much. Rick writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Rick. Did Trump pardon himself yesterday? I heard something about a turkey getting pardoned at the White House. Trump was the biggest turkey I could come up with. Back to the 6 Democrats sending out that message to our troops to not obey illegal orders. David Urban says Mark Kelly is out thumping his chest like some big war hero. Psst, he is a big war hero. You're not. And another thing. Irks me that Trump is giving Russia everything and chopping Ukraine down. They should have run NATO around the border when this all started and dared Russia to come in. They should go in there now and throw the bums out of there. Cowards. Give them a big dose of their own medicine. Trump probably wants to build something in Moscow and doesn't want to anger Putin. But hey, eat some turkey. We all still have a lot to be thankful for. For me, it's my faith, family, and friends. To be able to get on here and have Frank let me speak my piece and much, much more. My wife and I have been so fortunate. We are thankful for that and to be able to give back of our time and resources. I could go on and on. Last thing for today. I like speaking my piece on this forum. We all have different thoughts and opinions. I think those differences make us stronger as a nation. I'm thankful for that. It really concerns me how we have all drifted apart. We all need to keep working on reversing that trend. Thanks, Frank, and you all. Thanks, Rick. That was nice. There, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family and everybody watching. That was perfect because we've got to take a short break and then we're going to wrap up. Just a couple quick stories. It looks like we're going to cover everything today. How exciting. Stay with us. We'll be everything you need to know, all in a 2-hour block. Stay with us.
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day 1 of the National Glider Competition.
Ferrari Auto Team! Get a new 2025 Ram 1500 Crew, just $399 a month, and $29.99 do-it signing.
Or get a new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Sport S, just $399 a month, and $29.99 do-it signing, just $399 a month. And remember what Don says.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money. The Black Friday sales event going on now at Ferrario.
United Way fights for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community. Will you?
Parents, we tend to react most when our kids misbehave. But did you know praising your kids 4 times for every time you correct them can transform their behavior and your relationship? And with these colorful praiselets from Boys Town, the 4-to-1 rule is a breeze. Visit parenting.org/praise to see how it works. Request your own free praiselets and explore other great ways to teach love with praise. Because every kid deserves to hear they're doing.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. A couple quick things as we wrap up. Because of Mamdani's victory in New York, we've talked about this enthusiasm with Democrat Socialists of America. One reason why we believe perhaps Governor Hochul is concerned that she could have a primary challenger. But we're learning that challengers are taking on New York House Democrats. And their main target, their ties to Israel. Several Democrat incumbents are facing primary battles after Mamdani's win suggested that being pro-Israel was no longer a universal selling point. In a number of congressional races across New York City, challengers are betting that the success of Mamdani, a vigorous critic of Israel's treatment of Palestinians, portends a potential vulnerability for pro-Israel incumbents. I'm not going to go through each one. We know that Hakeem Jeffries, not necessarily because of pro-Israel stance, but Hakeem Jeffries, there's a challenge there. But yes, being targeted for ties to Israel, if you are supporting Israel, then that is seen as an opportunity to primary you. A vulnerability for pro-Israel incumbents. They're in a weird situation there with primary challenges just across the country, but specifically in New York. And some of the positions that the Democrat Socialists of America make, did it work for Mamdani? It did. But I think this idea that he's a bellwether is a little over the top. I think he had the perfect scenario. He was younger at a time when the Democrat Party is frustrated with their older members. Cuomo was the old guard and ran a horrible campaign. It was kind of the perfect storm. But the Democrat Socialists of America believe that they have the headwinds, that they can make it through in these primary challenges. By the way, okay, speaking of the Democrat Party, well, Eric Swalwell, who's running for governor of California, said Democrats are Avengers fighting for truth over Trump. It's Avengers right now. You've got Jasmine Crockett coming to California, helping us elevate the vote to pass Prop 50. Ruben Gallego is going to Iowa and New Hampshire as a Marine Latino, first in his family to go to college. There's a bunch of us who are stepping up, but we all understand, the assignment, and that is to bring down prices, period. Ruben Gallego, did you see that? He's a senator from Arizona. He was criticizing his fellow Democrats for not allowing men to be men or women to be hot in a leaked string of text messages, condemning his own party for being out of touch with everyday Americans. Texts obtained by Human Events purported to show Gallego responding to another person. Been watching all the insanity up here. I think it's time that somebody with a cool head and a solid plan could rise to the top of your party. And I don't want to go through each of those, but definitely some choice language for his own party. Well, that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Mark writes in, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. May you enjoy your special day. Thank you, Mark. Enjoy your special day as well. I hope that everybody tuning in and everywhere enjoys Thanksgiving. I know many of you probably stressed this morning, and so thank you for giving us a little bit of your time as you prepare for the big feast that ends up lasting about 20 minutes. All that preparation, and you're normally done within the hour. But it's a great day. Remember what it's all about. Be thankful. Think about what we have to be thankful for and grateful for, because we have so much in this country. So I appreciate all the people commenting throughout the program this morning and sending their great Thanksgiving wishes. And we will be back Monday morning with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. We'll see you then. Have a great Thanksgiving.